Morjesta kaikille ja tervetuloa seuraamaan Keijocastia. This episode will be spoken in English because our guest today is speaking only English, so consider yourselves warned. So, our guest today is Chico Muya. He is podcaster, social media content creator, and a writer. Welcome to Keijocast.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I always start this podcast by giving a guest a chance to do a short introduction of themselves.
Yeah.
So we can start with that.
Yeah, so as you said, my name is Chico Muya.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, you said it pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
I am originally from South Africa. I moved here almost 6 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
And I started working and all that sort of stuff, and then decided to stay. Apart from all that, I work a lot with video. I enjoy dabbling in a little bit of politics. I like being behind the camera and in front of the camera, editing videos and stuff like that.
We spoke that you don't like the editing part. You like the filming, but the editing part is it's not nice.
Exactly. And what else can I say? I think that's a in a nutshell that describes me somewhat. But I'm sure throughout the conversation you'll
learn a lot more about
a little
you.
bit more.
Yeah. So you do content to Instagram and also to X. What are the other channels you do?
YouTube,
Yeah.
TikTok, obviously, because that's the same as Instagram. I just post the same stuff, and I also have a Substack. So that's
what's that?
It's basically a blog platform.
Oh yeah.
Like where you write and stuff, and then people can read, and then for certain writers put bits of their writing behind a paywall. So it's basically a user powered platform. So you support the people whose thoughts you like to read about.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like a subscription.
I think I've heard about that maybe.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you moved to Finland 6 years ago. Now you have to be really brutally honest.
Right.
What are the best and worst parts about living in Finland?
To be fair, I don't have a lot to complain about when it comes to Finland, but the worst parts of Finland are usually the weather towards February, like this time of the year.
Yeah.
It just gets rough, because when winter first starts, it's kind of fun. I kind of enjoy it, like when the snow falls and stuff, and it's really great. What else? I find that the people are a lot more muted, like a lot more reserved, which is fine, but there are certain environments where you wish things were a little bit more open. Like, for example, I'm also a musician.
Oh yeah.
And I used to perform quite a lot in South Africa and stuff. But that was the one thing I noticed about Finland when I moved, was that especially when it comes to music and environments like that, it's a very different energy, very different sort of vibe. People usually have to be quite drunk to be out in the front dancing and stuff. But those are like mild little complaints. It's not like a huge thing, since I'm not going out all the time. But the best things are just, I think, the way everything functions here. And it's also, the people being a bit reserved and stuff is also part of the reason why I actually love it, because there's nothing better for me than taking public transport and knowing that no one is going to try and come and talk to me or whatever. I can just put earphones on and just chill, be in my own world. The safety is really great. I guess I've gotten really spoiled living here. I feel like everything just works so perfectly.
Yeah.
In comparison to other places, at least.
Yeah. And you kind of get a blind to it if you only be in Finland. But when you visit other parts of the world, then you really notice that the shit really works out in here usually.
It's so true, and that's and to be fair, it's part of my message here in Finland, is because I feel like a lot of Finnish people sometimes don't know how blessed they are.
Yeah, they are not grateful for the things
exactly.
they have. Yeah.
And I'm not saying like I understand that it's all right to complain about stuff, but I think it's the way you complain about stuff that is important. Like when I hear people talking about Finland as though it's the worst place on earth, like, oh, the most racist country or whatever. I'm like, bro, have you gone anywhere else? Like, what?
Yeah. And that is actually our topic today.
Right.
We will talk about racism in Finland.
Right.
You have talked about this a lot in X. I think it would be best to start with defining racism, because nowadays we have a lot of definitions for it, for the same word, and that is not making the conversations around racism not really like constructive.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So how would you define racism?
Yeah, I define racism simply as prejudice or hate towards people because of the color of their skin. It's about the pigmentation of your skin.
Yeah.
Basically, not the religion, not the culture, not whatever. It's just, I don't like that person because they are white. I don't like that person because they are black. Yeah.
Only skin color, not like the ethnicity or anything. Or
yeah, when I'm talking about skin color, I'm basically talking about their ethnicity. So yeah. Basically, someone who looks a certain way, you hate them because of something that they cannot change about themselves, which is surface level, and in most cases, it's got to do with the color of their skin.
Do you think that racism is only when you do it, like when you know that you are doing it, that you're like purposefully doing it, or can it be like? What is that you don't...
Subconscious?
Subconscious, yeah.
I think in truth, we all have prejudice for something.
Yeah.
Right? We all have some sort of prejudice, whether it's against women, whether it's against people who are a little bigger, thinner, whatever. There's aspects of that, even with skin color.
Yeah.
But so to answer the question, I don't know that you can be racist subconsciously. I think you can have prejudice against a certain color subconsciously, but to be racist is an intentional thing.
No.
It's a learned way of viewing the world, and it becomes racist, I guess, if you find out that you have this prejudice, and then you
like act on it also.
You start acting on it. Like, I mean, I can have prejudice towards a group of people and yet ignore that and push for it. I think the argument gets really weird when people start talking about trying to guess the inner emotions and thoughts of another person.
Yeah.
It's like, that is impossible. It just doesn't happen. It's how you act out in the real world that matters, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true. It's noble when you have like maybe this prejudice about something, but you don't act on it.
Exactly.
That's like noble. Yeah, because you can choose. You cannot really choose your thoughts, but you can choose what you do.
Yeah, and also, and I completely agree with it, but we live in a time where a lot of people don't see that as noble. Like, if I went online and said that, oh, wow, like, for some reason I have this negative view of white people that I grew up with, but I actively ignore it and push through it.
No.
I don't think that would fly. Like, people would not be happy about that. Or the opposite way. I guess the better way is to, if you as a white person, like, I have these prejudiced ideas, but I push them aside and I ignore them, and I ignore these emotions that try and rise up, and I try and treat people based on the content of their heart. You would see the internet would lose their mind at you, because they wouldn't see that as, wow, this person is confronting this ingrained way of thinking.
No.
They would be like, you're a racist, actually.
Yeah. Have you faced any racism in Finland?
I haven't faced any racism in Finland. No, not that I have actively noticed.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's such an interesting question, because it's like, when people ask me, have I faced racism? I always find that people define racism in different ways, like how you and I were like, okay, race has to do with the way you look, the color of your skin, and that sort of stuff. But I haven't faced anything where I felt like I was being judged negatively or positively simply because of the color of my skin. No. I did have this one time where I was in a bar and someone came and sat opposite me and asked me if I have weed. But that's about it.
Marion Kallio?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that says it all. It wasn't because of the color of your skin.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, make of that as you will. But no, I haven't personally, no.
Okay, yeah. Well, you spoke about this a little bit, but do you think that Finland is a racist country?
Finland, absolutely not, no. I think when people start talking about this issue, they forget that there's a difference between culture and race.
Yeah.
And if a certain group of people that come from a different culture just so happen to be of a certain race, and Finnish people don't like that culture, some people are very lazy where they just take that and they say, okay, cool, Finns are racist because maybe they don't like the Islamic culture, for example. Let's just throw that one out there. Let's say a lot of Finns in Finnish society, people are used to a woman being free, living life in a certain way, being open, that sort of stuff. It was born out of a very Christian foundation, very different. And maybe people are seeing certain things from a different culture that they are uncomfortable with. So maybe they're uncomfortable with a woman covering themselves. They're uncomfortable with some of the ideology, that sort of stuff. And Finns might be against that. But a lot of people will just see that and claim that it's racism instead of trying to engage with the deeper aspect of it, which is Finns love their culture. I know Finnish people love to joke about about themselves, how you guys don't smile all that much or that sort of stuff. But I think Finns really do love their culture, and they are very wary of anything that can impact that negatively. And also, I think they look at Sweden and they're like,
yeah, we don't like them too much.
maybe what's happening in Sweden, like with a lot of the immigration that took place.
You meant about it. Also, we hate Swedes also because we are like small brother of them. So
yeah, that's so funny. But to answer your question more specifically, I don't think Finland is racist, because from my experience, anyone who willingly shows that they're trying to integrate, to be a part of the culture, is celebrated all the time. Constantly. You just have to go on YouTube and look at videos of people who are like, hey, I just moved to Finland and I'm learning how to do the sauna and I'm blah, blah. You'll just see the comments full of Finnish people being like, yes, you're becoming more and more Finnish. Like, they love that. No. And it doesn't matter who the person is, what they look like. They could be Asian, black, whatever. As long as they're trying to integrate, I think most Finnish people are happy with that, which completely disproves, in my opinion, that they just judge people because of the color of their skin. I reject that. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Because there is a lot of people who say that Finland is racist country, and actually a lot of people who say that are Finnish people. What are the motives for the people who consider Finland to be really racist country? Do you think?
Yeah. If I'm honest, I think there's an ideology in the world right now that is basically trying to paint the Western world as bad, as the perpetrators of many, if not all, terrible things that have happened in the world. People look at things like slavery and some of these things that have taken place in the past, and then they, for some reason, somehow believe that is only a Western thing, and the West has done that. Where in truth, it's happened all across the globe with all sorts of cultures. But having said that, I think Finland now is, because a lot of Finnish people, if not most, are white, they naturally, seemingly have started accepting this idea that they are part of that history somehow, that they are somehow a part of the problem. So they look at America and they look at how there's a lot of self-hate there sometimes. And in a lot of places in Europe, actually, there's been like a lot of self-hate, a lot of self-deprecation, a lot of, hey, the West bad. Yeah. So I think Finns now are making the huge mistake of taking on that mantle on themselves when Finnish history is completely different. Like, Finns themselves, they've been subjugated. They've lived under the Swedes, the Russians. They completely different. Like, Finland not very long ago was dirt poor. So and Finns have had to fight very hard to keep what they have. So it's a completely different worldview, and I think the world as well, because they confuse Finnish people because they're white. They think that Finnish people share the same history as all other white people. They just seem to give that to Finns, and a lot of Finns, unfortunately, accept that because they don't know how to make the difference between culture and race.
Yeah.
And that sort of stuff. So if Finns show a negative view of a certain culture, then some Finns are like, oh, cool, Finns are racist then. Which is crazy to me, because it's one of the least racist places I've ever experienced.
No.
And I will say this, and I've said this before, this is my warning to Finland, to say that Finnish people are pretty colorblind. And by colorblind, I'm not saying that they don't see your skin color. I mean, They mostly see you through the lens of culture. They mostly see you through the lens of, hey, are you integrating? Are you part of our society? Are you living peacefully, paying your taxes, doing whatever? They usually see people in that lens. But the more people begin to push Finns, the more they begin to accept this story about themselves that is fake, the more you will start seeing race issues pop up. Because you can only push people so far until they don't care anymore. So I always tell people, like, right now is, if you don't try and make the effort to try and understand that there are cultural issues that Finns have about other cultures, they're passionate about their culture, and you need to see things through that. If you don't see that and you just blanket call them racist, I think racial tensions, where there were none, will start appearing.
Yeah. So you are like making the problem bigger.
Yep.
When you are trying to implement your bad solutions to it.
Exactly.
Oh, sorry. I meant that you are creating the problem that you claim there to be. That
exactly.
Actually, there isn't it, but your like solution to it creates the problem that you are saying that you try to destroy.
Yeah, it's like being in a lovely relationship and then you just start trying to fight for no reason. For a while, your girlfriend or whatever might be like, okay, like whatever, and then at one point, she's just gonna have enough and be like, I'm tired of your rubbish, like. You know, and then whenever she sees you, she's going to see you as a problem all the time. And you don't want, I personally, I'm enjoying it so much here. I don't want to have to deal with that rubbish. I think it's really cool now. Things can always improve just like anything else. But if people start going down this road, I think it's just going to cause a lot more issues, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. How would you fight against racism? Because I think there is always some racism anywhere you go. Like you cannot clear it entirely. But what do you think it is best way to fight against it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the first and foremost, the best thing is to promote and to keep pushing for colorblind policies, in terms of you're looking through the lens of merit all the time within a country. Because I think, because on a social level, that's a little bit different to try to regulate. Like, what are you going to be like? Oh, you can't just, only white people can't just sit here alone. You have to have one black person with you. Like, you can't really do that. But I think the best thing that you can do, make it fair for everyone. Give everyone opportunities like it already is. And to also understand that there's prejudice. I know racism is something people like to talk about, but there's also other kinds of prejudice too.
Yeah.
Like it's not, there's some people who really don't like bigger people, like, right? There's some people who really don't like short people, or whatever the case might be. I would just push for that color policies. Colorblind policies. And if someone faces any sort of racism, especially if they're put in danger, like, go to the police, like, sort that out. Like, you shouldn't be fearing for your life or whatever because of your skin color. No. But in general, I think people have the power to create the communities that they want. Here, you can go make the friends that you want and have your own little community. Not everyone is going to like you. Someone will hate you somewhere just because of who you are. Like, it's the world. Like, this isn't heaven. Someone will hate you because of who you are. So, yeah.
So next question is: do you think that it is possible to diminish racism entirely ever? Is it possible?
No, impossible. No, even all sorts of prejudice. I don't think it's possible, and I don't think the goal is to eliminate racism 100%, because that won't happen.
No.
And as long as that is your goal, you will always have people complaining about it.
Yeah, and that's really a problem when they are talking about racism in Yleisradio's A studio or something. It always, there's like assumption that you really can diminish racism entirely from the world or from Finland. And if you are like really honest, that isn't how world works.
I think that is a very childish way of viewing it. I think the best way to look at an issue is to look at it through the eyes of comparison. So someone might be like, Finland is the most racist country in the world. And I'm like, okay, cool, sure. Have you been anywhere else? They're like, no. So I'm like, so then you can't really make that claim, right? I know there's that study that everyone seems to like to quote. And I was reading it. I went like halfway through. I got like halfway through.
So was it like study or study?
It was absolute garbage.
yeah. So it was study.
Yeah, and some of the racism perpetrators were minorities as well.
Yeah.
Like minorities were the one who were perpetrating racism towards other minorities. So it was very confusing, and it read more like some sort of social justice kind of thing as opposed to a cold hard facts study. And also it's just they didn't seem to understand culture either. They confused a bunch of things. Like the vibe that I got is that the people who did the study got to decide what they thought was racist completely. So if I'm at a bar and I'm drunk and a bartender tells me to get out, I can turn around in the study and be like, that was racist. So there was no, it's really, really unhinged. And the crazy thing is, whenever they've done polls, most Finnish people always claim that racism has no place in the country.
No.
So it's like this kind of weird thing. But to your point, I think the best way is to always compare properly. To compare in terms of, can you live in Finland without, someone killing you because of your skin color? Can you get a job? Are you able to make friends? Are you able to just live in peace? Are you able to rent a place? Blah, blah, all these sort of things. And then compare it to other places. But Finland in general, I don't know. It's pretty wild to me that people like to look at Finland through the lens of like just the only country without comparing it to anywhere else, which, yeah, that's when you get stuck in this crazy mindset that racism is going to be zero one day. Like, how would you even know?
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of there was that time during in 2020 when the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
I think it was in New Zealand where there was like no COVID. And then one person got it and they locked down the entire country. They stopped everyone from going to work and all that sort of stuff. And everyone got punished because of that. And I feel like that's the same thing for racism now. Of course, there's always going to be a crazy person. Yeah. There's always going to be someone who's racist and stupid and whatever. It's always there. But society, as long as the society as a whole does not view the world through that lens, I think you're pretty fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something. If someone is racist, deeply, deeply racist, and they don't outwardly treat me any different, I don't care. Genuinely, why should I care?
Yeah.
If someone is deeply racist, a bus driver is deeply racist, but they still let me in the bus, they still say hello, and I still go and sit down, I don't care. It's not my job to look into someone's heart and try and change their inner emotions. The most important thing for me is that as long as you're not trying to hurt me, you're not trying to do anything that will negatively impact me in that way, I genuinely don't care. The person serving me the food could be like, wow, I hate black people, but as long as you put that food on my table, I don't care. Like, why should I care? And I think that's the thing when people talk about race and stuff, especially left-wing leaning people, they think that they have no prejudice, no inner hate for something.
Yeah.
When in truth, our job is not to control people's emotions. We live in a society, we have laws and rules, and as long as we are living harmoniously in that system without causing harm to another person, it doesn't matter. If I saw a bus driver and then he went home and cried to his wife and be like, I had to let another black person on the bus, like, worst thing ever, I don't care. Yeah. You know, so I never get it. I'm just like, as long as society functions, as long as the doctor still sees me, you know, when I buy something, I get sold that thing the price that it was advertised.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And I don't know why it should, because it's not just because of race someone might not like you. There's someone somewhere probably thinking of you and being like, I really don't like that guy. And then there's other people like...
There's a lot of people that think that way probably.
And yet there's other people who are probably like, I really like that guy. But it's not affecting you right now.
Yeah.
We're having a conversation. It's chill. Like,
yeah, it is true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that you cannot please everyone. That is fact. But you can be true to who you are, and that is best way you can act. Some people will hate you for it, and some people will love you for it. And even when you are true to yourself, even the people who hate you, they can respect you, because you are not trying to please everyone with your opinions or your actions. You just do them.
Have you ever felt like a people pleaser before in the past? Because you obviously have your own views right now, but have you ever felt in the past that you were trying to please people?
I put too much weight on people's opinions, but a lot more in the past, like really a lot more.
I think that in the past that was my issue too, is because we want to be liked by everyone, right?
Yeah.
But then it just so happens that once you take a firm stance on a certain issue, there's always someone who's seeing the opposite of that. And it's true whenever, because I sometimes worry that people might not like my views and whatever, but in the end, I'm like, I know who I am. I've got my fiance who loves me the way I am too. My mom loves me, my family, and also we floating around on a rock in space, like, you know.
That's really crazy when you think about it. Yeah. How old are you, by the way?
As of 2 days ago, 33.
Oh, happy birthday!
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
2 days. 2 days too late, but
yeah. No,
better late than never.
It's perfect. Yeah.
Have you seen the Gladiator film?
The first one or second one?
First one.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
You know the scene where the Maximus is confronting the Emperor in the arena.
My name is Maximus Meridius.
Yeah, that one. Do you know why that is so powerful scene?
If I were to go with my gut, it was because he stopped hiding who he was.
Yeah.
And he bravely, despite what the backlash he might experience, namely death, he still got up and was like, this is who I am.
The emperor had like a high ground towards him at that scene. He had the choice to kill him.
Yep.
Or let him live. And he was true to himself. And the way he said that, and I will get my vengeance in this life or another. Because if he would have killed him, he would still get his vengeance.
That's really awesome. Now that I actually think about it, there's a lot of a lot of my life, a lot of the way I view life was shaped through books and films.
No.
Like whenever I saw someone do something heroic, it always did something to me. You know, there's this one book called this book series called The Wheel of Time that I read ages ago. And there's this one character, he's going to go see the queen and he might be put to death. And he's outside of the chambers and he's on his knees crying, like he's shaking. But this other man, this older man, lifts him up and says, whatever you face it on your feet.
That is truly powerful, yeah.
And there's just something about that always hit me. It's like, I might as well just face it on my feet.
And this is the reason why the movies nowadays, they are really bad, because they don't use like the same these basic storylines that the older movies have. They don't appeal to people's emotions same way that the movies did like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Yep.
Because like the normal like good values, they don't have a same firm place in society as they had back then.
And also, like, to jump on your point, and it's not just in film, because it's permeating other parts of society, is when you look at movies, a lot of movies, I like a lot of movies still, but like evil is not so evil anymore. Like evil, they try and make you understand evil. It's like, oh, evil, you know, it's actually not. If you were in this person's shoes, maybe a bit different. A good example would be Lord of the Rings. The orcs, the monsters, the twisted beings are evil. That's their thing. They and it's J.R.R. Tolkien. He wrote it like that. He wasn't trying to deconstruct evil. He was just like, that's evil. Yeah, that's good.
And that really shows.
And that really shows. But now the Rings of Power, which is like the stupid kind of new version, they give the orcs babies and then they make them like, oh no, they're fighting for something. It's like, why? No. In some stories, you need evil and you need good, but it also spills out into the way people view politics on a certain level. It's like on October 7th, when the Hamas people went into Israel and killed and murdered people, you had some people coming across and saying, you know, it's freedom fighters. You know, it's freedom fighting to rape and kill. It's a very and it spreads through society in that way, and it's a very strange way of looking at the world. I'm not saying that things can't be nuanced and that sort of stuff. I'm just saying, like, I'm seeing more of that, like the sense of, hey, maybe evil's not so evil. No. Like, I don't know, it's really weird to me, but
I think the best term to describe what you're saying is like moral corruption.
Yeah, moral corruption.
Yeah, that is like really spreading around the Western world.
And in my opinion, and this is controversial for some people, I guess.
Not for my viewers.
I the more and more I think about it, the more and more I'm kind of reading about it, the more and more I'm kind of noticing that the more and more Christianity has been pulled out of society. I'm talking about at least the sense that there is a foundational aspect to that, like the way we view what's right and wrong and that sort of stuff. Yeah. A lot of it can be seen from the historical view of the Bible and the things that Jesus did, because when you go all the way back to like Plato and these people, there wasn't this idea that humans are intrinsically good, or intrinsically valuable. There was, some people are born slaves, some people are born kings, some people are born whatever, and it's all right to kill a slave and whatever the case is. And then through like after the Christian Revolution, like when things went crazy, like all the way back then, next thing you started hearing this idea that everyone is valuable. People are born equal, and that sort of stuff. And now people look at Christianity and they connect it to slavery and the colonialism and that sort of stuff. And then they think that, okay, cool, let's take that and rip it out of society.
Yeah.
But what you get in replacement
Moral corruption
is moral corruption.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make the argument for everyone to be religious or whatever. It's just something I'm noticing and seeing, because in the Western world, a lot, if not most of our values is in some way, shape or form, even if you're the most atheistic person, whatever, it's in some way, shape or form shaped by that.
Yeah. Are you religious person?
That's an interesting question. I used to be very Christian when I was younger.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I stepped away from the church and all that sort of stuff. But now there's been a very, very interesting change inside of me. I've been looking at the character of Jesus and those sort of things, and looking at society and politics and looking at that moral corruption and that sort of stuff. And I won't lie, it's been driving me to the same conclusion I had as when I was younger. It doesn't mean I'm going to be out preaching or whatever, but I'm just getting the sense of, like, I don't know, there's just something, all of society, the values I hold most deeply about taking care of the people around me and trying to be good as far as it depends on me. All these things seem to come from that source.
Yeah.
So it's making me kind of like, I'm like, wow, okay, my whole life is built on this foundation, these values. And I'm on a planet floating around in space. I have no idea how I came here.
Yeah.
It's starting to make a lot more sense to me.
Yeah, it like gives meaning to things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too religious person myself either. I'm like, what's that called? You cannot
agnostic.
Agnostic, yeah. But yeah, I can see where you're coming from. As much as the Christian values have like decreased in society, the society isn't coming any better. Yeah,
it's true, and it's really interesting, isn't it? It's like,
maybe I mean the like the virtues, the moral virtues, they are not celebrated as much when the Christianity decreases. Maybe the society as a whole maybe becomes better with better healthcare and infrastructure and all that. It goes like forward all the time, of course, but like the moral virtues, they are decreasing, and that is not good.
And you know what's kind of crazy? Some of the biggest breakthroughs, science, all these things all came from mostly Christian people who were like, there's a God. So if there's a God, there must be some order to the universe. There must be some sort of order to follow. And after this, I dare you to go and look at it. It's crazy. Some of the biggest breakthroughs we've had, whether it's with healthcare, medicine, all these things, all came from Christian people or people who believed in God. It's like it has wherever the church kind of grew and expanded is where science and innovation moved forward. It's kind of it's a very insane thing. But as to your point, like I watched a thing, like, you know, Richard Dawkins.
I have seen some of his speeches maybe. Or
maybe like 20 years ago, whatever. There was the new atheist movement. It was basically saying that religion is a poison, right? We need to get rid of religion, and it made being religious a something you'd be ashamed of.
Yeah.
And more recently he had an interview and he was just kind of, and and some other new atheist people were talking, saying that when the new atheist movement started, we had this grand idea that when we move religion out, there will be schools of rational thought that will start popping up, and people will start seeing things like, in the most rational way. But what do you have instead? You have this.
That's actually. You don't know what is a woman and
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So now it obviously, and yet even Richard Dawkins is talking about how he's calling himself a cultural Christian, that he loves going to the churches and seeing the beautiful little things, and he loves all these things. He loves the fact that Christians promote peace and kindness. Then why did you try to break it down? Why did you try and smash it? Because now he's worried about, because the opposite of that is like, you have other ideologies like Islam, for example, which is a very militant way of viewing the world, in terms of you don't have this character of Jesus, which is like, someone can be like, yeah, I'm gonna kill people because Jesus says it. All you need to do is open up the Bible and be like, hey, no.
Yeah,
that's not it. It's not the same for something like Islam, because it depends on who reads it and what they want to use and not use, and that is growing in Europe. And then you have people like Richard Dawkins who are worried about that. I'm like, but bro, you were part of the problem. Like, you were saying that God is a delusion. Turns out that the delusion was helping us. And and I think now I feel like a lot of people, if I can't be the only one who's beginning to notice some of these things, going, yeah, these rational people are saying that a man can be a woman. Like,
have you seen that meme where's the man emoji was pregnant? And then I'm really worried about disinformation. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't. That's hilarious. That's so that is actually kind of funny, actually.
Yeah. This may be an oversimplification. Not maybe it is. But in religions, I think in all religions, if you are like fundamentally following what they are teaching to you, you believe in higher power that is always watching what you do and like judging what you basically do. So you have to always do morally right thing, even if there's no any chance that you get caught like lying or stealing or something. You have to always do the right thing, even if no one is watching, because if you believe in higher power, there's always someone who is watching, but not other human being, but something higher power. And that is, I think that is the reason why the like moral virtues of religions, that like why people follow them like blindly.
Yeah. I mean, I totally get what you're saying, and there is some truth to that. That people who believe that they are subservient to something bigger than themselves might act a different way. But I will add that the nature of the being that these people follow is very important.
Yeah. That is exactly the point. Yeah,
Exactly. But in general, in the simplified, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
for sure. Did you so you didn't grow up religious? In Finland?
No, not at all. But it's always interested me.
Right.
A lot, and I like I said, the moral virtues around Christianity. I think that there are a lot of them. Not all of them are what I can agree on, but a lot of them. That I can.
I think it's almost like the racism angle that we're talking about, where, you know, some people may act in ways that you like or don't like. So, but it doesn't mean that the whole thing is wrong or bad. Like in terms of like race, just because one person or a few people are racist towards me doesn't mean that all white people are kind of racist to me.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to Christianity as an example, the one thing that I think that kind of sets it apart is because no matter all these different views about things and theology or whatever, even the most atheist person will look at the character Jesus and be like, okay, if everyone lived according to what he said, the world would actually be perfect.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
that's the one thing about Christianity that is very unique. It's very, very, very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think that we have talked about a lot of issues. Is there something you want to add?
No. I think I'm just. It's just really fun, just because I haven't even spoken about this aspect. Like I don't go on and talk about religion like this. It was just interesting. It hit a part of my mind that I haven't activated. So that was fun. Yeah.
Thank you very much for visiting this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do short outro in Finnish.
Okay, go for it.
Hei, kiitoksia tosiaan kaikille katsojille, ja älkää tuomikko liikaa, englanninkielinen ei varmasti ole parasta mahdollista. Ja pistäkää tämä kanava tilaukseen, jos tykkäätte sisällöstä, and also follow Chico in X. I will add his account under this video's description. Thank you, kiitos, nähdään taas seuraavan kerran. Ciao, moi.
Kiitos.